Hey y'all, aloha. Daniel Aaron here. And question, how is your relationship with the masculine or with your father? And what I'm going to share right now is more for men. However, if you are a woman and you know a man, it may well be useful for you too. Now, when I was, I think, 13 years old, maybe 14, I was visiting my father. I lived with my mother in Virginia. My father lived in Portland, Maine. I would go visit him every summer. And this was the last summer that I really visited him. And at this point in his life, his alcoholism had accelerated quite a bit, or shall I say, the impact or the decay or the breaking down of his internal organs had accelerated. And one of the mysterious symptoms or consequences of that was that he began falling, and by which I mean literally falling. And I never really knew, I don't think he ever really knew exactly what was going on or what caused it. I remember the first time it happened when I was visiting him, and he used to have a pool table in his dining room, and he had sold it that winter before I came for some reason. And I remember I was in the other room and I just heard this smack, and I was like, "What's going on?" I ran in the dining room, and he was laying on his back. It was a hardwood floor, and he wore glasses, and they were up off his head, and I looked down, and I'm like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, yep, just taking a nap." Of course, I knew that wasn't the case, but I didn't know what to do. Um, then maybe a week, 2 weeks later, we had been out golfing. This was one of the rituals that my father and I did when I visited him, and for us, golfing looked like golfing looks like. However, his version of it was to have a big cooler in the back of the golf cart filled with beer, Miller High Life. And so we got home after golfing, and we were walking into his house. We'd gotten out of the car, and we both had our bags of clubs. He was in front of me, and to enter his house, there were 4 brick steps that were quite high, which led to a porch, which led to the entrance to the house. And it was super hot that day, and I was tired, and I just wanted to get inside and take a shower and get a cold soda or something. And as he started up the steps in front of me, he stepped up the first step, and then he kinda paused. And I was thinking to myself, like, "Come on, man, let's go." And then he'd step up to the next step, and then he paused again, and his body started kinda tilting like this, and I was looking at him like, "What are you doing, man? Come on, I just wanna get inside." And then suddenly, he just tipped back, and by now he was 2 steps up from me, and he was taller than me at this point, so he's kinda towering over me, and he just literally fell backwards, and I was standing there, and, of course, it all happened instantaneously, and I tried to, like, catch him, but I had no chance. He was taller and much bigger than me, and so he fell back, his clubs fell back, I landed on my back, he landed on top of me, and I remember he was just out, completely still. I hit the ground, and all of our golf clubs just, like, spilled out onto the ground behind us, onto the sidewalk, and and then I was pinned. I was just laying underneath him, and I couldn't move, and I'm still embarrassed to this day at my reaction to that, and I give myself grace because I was innocent. I was doing the best I could with what I had in that moment, but I was pinned underneath him, and what I did was I looked to the side, and I looked to the side. I wanted to know if the neighbors saw it. I was so embarrassed. Now, I don't know if the neighbors knew that he was a drunk, and I don't know if anybody would have known that he fell because he was drunk or because something related to his alcoholism. I don't know, I just knew that I was embarrassed, and I suppose that arises for me the memory of that arises today out of this past weekend. I did a men's weekend initiation with the Mankind Project. It's called the New Warrior Training Adventure, and I've done lots of men's work in my life. I started when I was young. What I realized, though, very powerfully this weekend was I had an opportunity to see my father in a new way, and of course, I've known in my head he was doing the best he could, with what he had, and I didn't haven't felt in a long time anger or resentment or upset toward him. However, what I did realize just this weekend is I had not yet learned to give myself what he was unable to give me, which is a father figure loving me, believing me, being there for me, teaching me how to be a man. And so I'm super grateful for the experience I had this weekend. And for any of you men, if you have not done that process, I highly encourage it. In my 29 years of obsession with personal and spiritual development, it's literally one of the best things I've ever done. It's incredible value, both in terms of it's a low financial investment and it's a low time investment. It's less than 48 hours, and it's really incredible what these men deliver and create in the midst of that. I could go on, I could say more. I will leave it there though. And if y'all anybody would like to chat about it or hear more of my experience with that, feel free to reach out. Please do leave a comment, reach out to me directly with a direct message. And thanks for tuning in, y'all. Aloha. Whoops, where'd it go?